Hi everyone, it's Nicole, and I'm here finally with another mini album, What I Read in a Specific Month in 2019. Now, this month I am doing August. I am a little bit behind, but I plan on catching up in the month of November. So, what I did at the beginning of the year is I stamped a whole bunch of coffee cups, and that's what I'm putting the number of the books on. So, I knew that I was doing from book 59 to like 82 to get caught up to do August, September, and October. So, I decided to just cut up all the cups at once, and then now I'm doing the numbers. And how I do the numbers is, if I'm starting with 60, well, I stamp all the 6 at the beginning, and then I knew I was going to need like a 76, so then I did the 6 at the back part of the coffee cup, if that makes any sense. So that way I'm not taking the number 6 out 10 times, and that saved me quite a bit of time. So I did all the numbers to 82. Then I always take a new Project Life kit, and I've noticed that ever since I started doing this mini album thing, I really have been using my Project Life kits, and I can, when I open them up, I can see a difference. Some of them, there's one container that is totally empty, and I'm like, yes, it means that I'm using the stuff that I have in my stash. Now what I'm doing is I'm going through all the pictures. The first thing I did was I went on Goodreads and I looked at what number each book is, because as I put them in the album, The Wedding Party was number 59, so I put that book in that specific order, and so on and so forth. So if I ever look back, I'll know which book, number one book that I read at the beginning and the last book I read in that year. I have to say, I don't spend a lot of time looking for cards that is the perfect match. Now, I don't know if you guys missed it. I missed it still, but you're going to see that at one point I'm going to go, there's a card missing, and I'm going to be looking for it, and I can't find it. So I'm going to do all the cards that I have. I'm going to turn off my camera, and I'm going to find book 64. I somehow put it back in with my Project Life cards. But anyway, I did eventually find it. So this is book 59, and it's called The Wedding Party by Jasmine Gilroy. And that is the third book in a series, and it focuses on Maddie and Theo. They're friends with the girl that was the main protagonist in the first book. And this is their story, their love story, if you want. It is a hate to love story, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Now the fourth book just came out, The Royal Holiday, I think it's called, and I plan on reading that one in December because it's a holiday one. The next book I read is The Exiled Queen. Now this is the book 2 in the 7 Realms series by Cinda Williams-Chima. And it is about a queen or a princess, and who's, going to be queen, and a street rat, and their story. I absolutely love all of Cinda Williams-Chima's book. I read her first series, which was the Air Chronicles, last year. This year, I read the 7 Realms series. And the next series that I have of hers is called The Shattered Realms, and I'm absolutely going to read it in 2020. She has a way of telling stories. She's an amazing writer. I will read whatever she writes. And this story, it has 4 books. And I read 3 of them in the month of August just because I couldn't wait one more month to find out what happened. I had to read it right away because it was so good. So obviously, I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely love that book. The next book is called The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. This is an adult contemporary that deals with a really sensitive, heart-wrenching topic. It deals with infertility and how it can affect a relationship. And the two protagonists in this story is Kristen and Josh. And I love this contemporary. I gave it 4 stars. I accidentally put 5 stars because I was looking at the other book that was sitting there, which is the next Cinda Williams Chima. But it was like a 4.25. Like, it was a really good book. I really enjoyed it. Would recommend to read. Now, the next book I read is The Grey Wolf Throne from Cinda Williams Chima. The story continues. It has to do with our male protagonist and her female protagonist. And I think this is the one where they're actually at a school, maybe. Like, I'm kind of confused which book is what part of the story, because I read 3 of them in 1 month. But what I loved is that there was one part of one of these books that they went to school. I really love that entire series. So good. Again, this one I gave 5 stars. Really enjoyed that book. I really liked how much she grew as a character, and she took her role as being the future queen as something serious, and she wanted to do the best that she could be. Love that story. The next book I read is The Darkest Legacy by Alexander Bracken. This is the 4th book in the Darkest Mind series. I read the first 3 books earlier on this year, and I absolutely loved it. It has to do with kids and their abilities. They were infected somehow and ended up getting some abilities. They can, some people can move stuff, some people can burn stuff, some people can make stuff explode, and the government, what they do to fix them is to put them in camps. And I loved all the characters in this, and this last book is where it follows the character Zoo. And she was one of my favorite characters in the first few books. And what I also liked is that the characters from the first 3 books were also in this book. They didn't have as much of a forefront place, I guess, or story in this, but they still made some appearances, and I absolutely loved it. Obviously, I gave it 5 star. I had an amazing reading month in the month of August. Now, this is not the next book I read. This is where I realized, hey, I have a book missing. But I'm going to talk about The Simple Wild because I decided to just do it and then look for that other book that got misplaced. This is The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. This was actually book 65 that I read. This book is set in Alaska, and it's about Kayla and her father. They had a really estranged relationship, and she gets bad news about him, so she goes to spend time with him. And she also meets Ren, which, oh my goodness. And the good news is, this was supposed to be a standalone, and now there's going to be a part 2, and it's coming out in March of 2020. It's called Wild at Heart, and I can't wait. This was a 5-star read for me. Absolutely, absolutely loved it. I can't wait to read book number 2. And this was one of the books that my husband also read it, and he loved it. He can't wait for book number 2. The last book I read was Crimson Heart, which is the final book in the the 7 Realms quartet, and I loved it too. 5 stars. I love that series. I can't wait to start the Shattered Realms series by this author. She is amazing. If you have a chance to read her books, I absolutely would. She has a way of just telling stories. These books are fantasy, and I like her I just like her scenes, how she builds up the world. I love everything about it. And that's it. I'm just now placing all the books where they belong, and I have 2 3x4 pocket and 1 4x6. So when I have a 4x6, I just add a small piece of white cardstock to add the photos, and that's it. That's going to complete the month of August, and I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.